It began with the fires of the Forgotten Initiative, a last-ditch campaign by the Frostline Pacific Railroad to restore any railworthy engines across the frostbitten continent. As the Great Freeze deepened, the need for locomotive power increased. The FPR turned to the legends to fill the voids in the nearly unified rail lines of the legal FPR monopoly, not just for power, but for hope. In Nebraska, the home of the abandoned Union Pacific's Omaha headquarters, buried behind a false panel in the old Mechanical Division archives, a book was found, not in a vault, but wrapped in oilcloth, sealed in wax, and marked with a faded emblem, a winged wheel, covered in dust and cobwebs. The man who found it was once the vice president of the Union Pacific Locomotive Power Division, long retired, no title, no authority, only memory. And when he opened the book, he was stunned. Inside was a complete ledger of the 25 big boys. 8 were marked as preserved. The former vice president remembered as if it happened yesterday. These Wasatch-class titans were publicly scattered across museums, parks, and rail-ending sidings. As the Great Freeze deepened and the diesel fleet could not maintain the high cargo demands, our VP led the charge for the FPR launching a daring reclamation. One by one, these big boy titans were exhumed, restored, and reborn, not as static exhibits, but as much needed horsepower in the lagging needs of the FPR unification. 4004, once a silent sentinel for Cheyenne's holiday park, was the second to rise from long hibernation. Her restoration was dubbed Operation Hearthstone and became the premier engine hauling vital goods from the Omaha yards to Salt Lake City. She was given the title the Spirit of Cheyenne on her converted oil tender. 4005, on permanent loan from the Forney Museum in Denver, Colorado, her chassis retained her battle scars from a tragic wreck decades ago. She was reforged as the Warden of the Pass and would carry the goods through the mountainous passage of Idaho, Wyoming, Colorado, and New Mexico. Her cab was reinforced, and her whistle was tuned to the mournful chord. She carries the title, The Spirit of Denver, on her tender, from her adopted home. 4006, long displayed in St. Louis, she was reactivated as the River Titan, her firebox lined with brass from the Mississippi reclamation yards. She is the Midland's big boy, carrying vital supplies from the East Coast, St. Louis, and Omaha. She carries the title, The Spirit of St. Louis, on her tender. 4012, the big boy from Steamtown, became the Eastern Sentinel. When she was restored, she served her adopted state of Pennsylvania, along with the East Coast main lines of the former CSX and Norfolk Southern. She would be the first big boy to travel to New York City, Boston, Maine, and Washington, D.C. She was given the title, The Spirit of the Keystone. 4014, the only big boy previously restored to operation, was ceremoniously transferred to the FPR. 4014 was the celebrity of the normal Frostline citizen. There is no doubt she is the Frostline's most photographed steam engine and the most beloved. Due to the sheer love for this engine, the FPR gave 4014 the highest title in the FPR archives, the Spirit of Humanity. She is currently a nominee for the Brass Bloods Initiative. 4017, from Green Bay. Her bell was recast from the Melton Signal Iron, and she leads the Northern Ceremonials runs. She was nicknamed by many as the Queen of the North, as 4017 runs the former North BNSF lines, which now includes the refurbished electrical lines of the legacy Milwaukee Road. 4017 is also a candidate for a tender to be converted into the world's first electrified steam engine with a pantograph mounted on her tender. She was given the title, The Spirit of Green Bay, for the community who took care of her while she was in hibernation. 4018, adapted by the great state of Texas. She was reborn as a lone ember. Her firebox carried a special brick from the Alamo and was lined with a Mesquite, Texas oil during her first ignition ceremony. 4018 will play a vital role in the survival of Texas during the Great Freeze. ensuring all the major cities of San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Austin, and many more, as the vital supplies shipped across the Texas and the passenger service from the former Mopac and T&P rail lines. She carried the title, the Spirit of the Lone Star, on her tender. Lastly, 4023. She was rescued from the Kinnific Park in Omaha, was the last to join. Her cab was fitted with a ceremonial ledger and her nameplate etched with the numbers of all 25 big boys in her cab. She was the jack of all trades, big boy. She would pull trains, shunt in yards, and doublehead other consists in the Frostlines. She was given the title, the Spirit of Omaha. Their fireboxes roared again, the bells tolled like war drums, and their names were echoed in the Frostline ledger as living symbols of resilience. Railfanners would cheer seeing these titans roar by. No longer relics, they became the vanguard of steam's return. As the former vice president looked on in the book, the 15 big boys bore a mysterious asterisk. These markings include the known and restored surviving 8. No footnotes, no explanation, just a symbol, like a whisper from the past. Among them was 4002, long believed scrapped, was the only number to list the location that was contradictory to the scrapping location. The ledger listed numbers and a description. Echo Branch, milepost 0.7, vault behind timber doors. The coordinates pointed to a long abandoned spur line in the Wasatch Mountains, buried beneath decades of snow, rock, and silence. When the book was returned to the FPR soon mobilized. Excavation crews, geologists, and engineers converged on the site. What they found was staggering. Behind a collapsed landscape of rocks, trees, and snow, the FPR team excavated the earth and discovered a pair of rotting wooden doors, sealed with iron rivets, frostbitten chains, and the termination of a long abandoned rails. As the doors were freed and the sunlight reflected on the giant boilers, the FPR team made discovery of the year. Laying on the rails were Big Boy 4002 with her prototype Greyhound paint scheme still clinging to her boiler like war paint, and beside her, Big Boy 4019, intact, still wearing her elephant ears, the smoke deflectors like a crown of defiance. They had not been scrapped. They had been hidden. The FPR team were shocked. The chamber was dry, sealed, and lined with maintenance tools wrapped in oilskin. It was not a grave. It was a vault, a preservation chamber built in secret, likely by either rogue mechanists, high-paid executives, politicians, or simply a sympathetic crew who refused to let the Titans fall. A note was found in the cabin of 4019. Preserve the Titans. The diesels will pass. Steam must rise again. The note would have symbols of not only the Union Pacific, but all the railroads dating back to the first transcontinental railroad. The note was signed only with the initials B, C, N. The asterisk, it seemed, marked not the lost, but the saved. 15 Titans scattered and sleeping, waiting to be found, ready for the call. The crews connected and towed the 2 big boys back to Salt Lake City for cryo restoration. A month later, the 2 big boys would serve the unified FPR mainlines. 4002 kept her prototype Greyhound paint scheme. She became the engine that would travel the Frostlines, pulling former Amtrak passenger coaches, high-ranking executive excursions, and currently pulls the highly important Rail Force One, the train that would carry the FPR director and the President of the United States. She would carry the royal title as the spirit of the Frostlines. 4019 played a very important role in the mountain tunnels of the Frostline. Thanks to her smoke deflectors, she would be the Titan that would conquer the frozen mountain tunnels. She would call the former Southern Pacific Donner Pass rail line home and travel the Salt Lake City-Sacramento main lines. She was given the title Spirit of California on her tender. After the discovery of the ledger, the FPR launched a bold new campaign. the ghost scrapped. The note that was discovered in the cab of 419 hinted that there could be many more locomotives hidden across the continent. The asterisk was no longer just symbols. They became beacons, not only for the big boys, but for all lost locomotives, whose fates had been sealed in silence. Each branch line was mapped. Each expedition became a pilgrimage, and every rediscovered engine was treated as a resurrection. The search expanded beyond Union Pacific. The FPR reached out across the ashes of every former Class I railroad, hunting for rogue survivors, engines marked as scrapped, but possibly hidden away by sympathetic crews or forgotten divisions. Soon, steam and diesel locomotives alike, long assumed lost to time, began to emerge from the tunnels, sheds, and mountain vaults. The frost was lifting. The fire was returning. Many stories would soon be rewritten from the ghost ledger. Alright guys, if you want to be a part of the Frostline radio show and want to tell everything that you enjoy about railroading, feel free to submit an application over on Discord and we can schedule out a time. Alright, if you guys want to join the brand new Fellowship of the FPR, we've got a brand new Discord server that we're currently building up. Feel free to copy that link and you guys can head on over. If you want to be a guest on the Frostline Summit, a show and tell style digital railroading forum, feel free to look at the link for the Discord channel and submit your application. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you wish to support the Frostline and Pacific Railway, feel free to become a shareholder either at Patreon or Subscribestar. Those of you who do financially support the FPR will have your name on the designated shareholder express, as you guys can see here. Thank you for those who support the channel financially. You guys help progress the channel a lot. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next video.